I will never forget that Christmas Eve. The house was glowing with thousands of tiny lights strung across every window. The massive Christmas tree stood proudly in the living room, covered in ornaments we had collected over 15 years of marriage. Presents were piled high underneath, wrapped in red and gold paper. The air smelled of cinnamon cookies baking in the oven, roasted chestnuts, and the fresh pine scent from the tree. The fireplace crackled softly, and Christmas carols played quietly in the background. My entire family was there: my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Harper, my younger sister, a few cousins, and most importantly, our two beautiful children, Alex and Mia. The kids were running around in their pajamas, excited for Santa to arrive. Everyone was laughing, hugging, taking pictures. It felt like the perfect holiday. And then there was my husband, Marcus. Tall, handsome, confident as always. He was wearing that expensive red sweater I had gifted him the year before. He walked around the room with a glass of champagne in his hand, smiling at everyone, acting like the perfect host, the perfect father, the perfect husband. I'm Elena. 15 years ago, when we were both young and full of dreams, we got married in a beautiful winter ceremony. Marcus was already climbing the corporate ladder, and I came from a family with old money and a successful business empire. After our wedding, Marcus became the CEO of the family company. The mansion we lived in, the cars, the private schools for the kids, everything looked like it belonged to him. But deep down, I knew the truth. It was all under my family trust. He was just managing it. For years, everything seemed perfect. We vacationed in Europe every summer, hosted huge parties, and Marcus always told me, "Elena, you are my greatest blessing." I believed him. I trusted him completely. But something changed in the last year. He started coming home late, saying it was important business meetings. His phone was suddenly always locked. One night, I noticed a strange perfume on his jacket. Expensive, seductive, definitely not mine. My heart skipped a beat, but I pushed the thought away. Then came the night that changed everything. Marcus was in the shower, and his phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. I glanced at the screen. A message popped up: "Can't wait to see you again tomorrow night, my love. Last night was unforgettable. Sophia Red Heart." My stomach dropped. Who was Sophia? From that moment, I stopped being the trusting wife, and started becoming the woman who would make sure he paid for every lie. Little did Marcus know, the biggest surprise under that Christmas tree wasn't for the kids. It was for him. And it was going to destroy everything he thought he had. If you've ever felt that sharp pain in your chest when you realize the person you love most is lying to you, then you already know how deep this hurt went. But pain has a way of waking a woman up. And I was wide awake now. That single message from Sophia was like a crack in a dam. Once I saw it, everything started flooding in. I didn't confront Marcus that night. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Instead, I smiled at dinner, helped the kids with their homework, and kissed him goodnight like nothing had happened. But inside, something cold and sharp had awakened. The next morning, while Marcus was at the office, I hired a private investigator. His name was Victor, discreet, expensive, and the best in the city. I gave him everything: Marcus's phone records, credit card statements, and the few details I already knew about Sophia. I told him, "I want the truth. All of it." No matter how ugly. 3 weeks later, Victor called me into his office. He laid out a thick folder on the table. Photos. Hotel receipts. Text message logs. Bank transfers. My hands were shaking as I opened it. The first photo hit me like a punch to the chest. Marcus and Sophia, arms wrapped around each other, walking into a 5-star hotel downtown. She was young, 28, maybe 29, blonde, confident, wearing designer clothes I had never seen before. There were dozens of photos like that. Dates stamped over the past 10 months. Restaurants. Weekend getaways. Even a photo of them kissing under the mistletoe at last year's company Christmas party, while I was home with the kids. Then came the financial trail. Marcus had been siphoning money from the family accounts. Over $350,000 in total. Jewelry for Sophia. A leased luxury apartment in her name. First-class trips to Paris and the Maldives. All paid from the trust that was supposed to be untouchable. He thought I never checked the statements. Victor didn't stop at photos and hotel receipts. He kept digging. And what he found next made my blood run cold. Sophia wasn't just some random secretary. She was Marcus's half-sister. Same father, different mothers. A dirty family secret Marcus's dad had hidden decades ago. Marcus had known for years. He tracked her down, hired her, and then, instead of building a normal sibling relationship, he crossed every line imaginable. The affair wasn't just cheating. It was something darker, something twisted. But the real weapon was money. Victor showed me the trust documents. Every asset, the company shares, the mansion, the offshore accounts, everything was locked inside an ironclad family trust that only I could fully control. Marcus was listed as manager, not owner. And buried on page 47 of the 200-page trust was a clause my grandfather had insisted on decades ago. If the marriage ends due to infidelity or financial misconduct by the non-blood spouse, all liabilities, debts and losses automatically transfer to that spouse personally. No appeal. No negotiation. Marcus had signed it without reading. He thought it was just paperwork. I sat in Victor's office for hours that day, silent. Then I smiled for the first time in weeks. Because now I had everything I needed. I hired the most ruthless family law attorney in the state. We worked in complete secret. I moved money quietly into new accounts. I had the trust lawyers prepare the activation papers. I installed hidden cameras in the house. I even had Victor plant a tracker on Marcus's car. I knew Marcus was planning something big for Christmas Eve. He had been dropping hints for weeks. This will be a Christmas we'll never forget, Elena. He wanted to humiliate me in front of the entire family before kicking me out with nothing. He had already booked a honeymoon suite for him and Sophia on December 26th. Paid with my money, of course. But I decided to let him think he was winning. I baked cookies with the kids. I decorated the tree. I smiled at every family dinner. Inside, I was building a bomb, and Christmas Eve was going to be the detonation. I prepared for separate gifts to place under the tree. Each one wrapped beautifully in gold paper with red bows. Each one designed to destroy a different part of his life. And the best part? He would open them himself, in front of everyone, thinking he was the one delivering the final blow. Marcus thought he was the hunter. He had no idea he had been the prey for months. Ladies, never let them see you planning. A woman's silence isn't weakness. It's the sound of her reloading. Christmas Eve finally arrived. The house looked like something out of a magazine. Snow was gently falling outside the huge bay windows. The tree sparkled with hundreds of white lights. The table was set with the finest china, crystal glasses, and a centerpiece of red roses and evergreen branches. Everyone was there. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Harper, sat near the fireplace. My sister arrived with her husband and kids. Cousins filled the couches. Alex and Mia were in their matching holiday pajamas, eyes wide with excitement as they shook presents under the tree. Marcus was in rare form. He was charming everyone, pouring champagne, telling stories about the company's record year, acting like the king of the castle. Sophia had been invited too, as my new executive assistant, he lied smoothly. She sat at the far end of the table, legs crossed, wearing a tight red dress, smirking every time our eyes met. Dinner was perfect. Laughter echoed through the room. The kids performed a little Christmas song. My mother wiped tears from her eyes, saying how blessed we all were. Then came gift time. We gathered in a big circle around the tree. The kids went first, ripping open toys and clothes with screams of joy. My parents exchanged their usual sentimental gifts. Marcus handed out expensive bottles of wine and watches to the men, designer scarves to the women. He saved mine for last. He stood up, glass in hand, and cleared his throat. Everyone, before we finish, I have a very special gift for my beautiful wife, Elena. The room went quiet. All eyes turned to him. Phones came out to record this sweet moment. He walked over to the tree and picked up a small, elegant gold envelope tied with a red ribbon. He handed it to me with that same charming smile he used the day we got married. Go ahead, darling. Open it in front of the family. It's time they all know. I took the envelope. My fingers didn't shake. I opened it slowly. Inside were official divorce papers already signed by him. The room froze. You could hear the fire crackling, and the room froze. You could hear the fire crackling and nothing else. My mother's champagne glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the hardwood floor. Alex and Mia stared wide-eyed. My father's face turned red with rage. Sophia leaned back in her chair, a smug little smile playing on her lips. Marcus raised his glass higher. Let's all raise a toast to new beginnings, he said loudly. Elena has been a wonderful wife, but it's time for me to move on with someone who truly appreciates my success. Sophia and I are in love. The papers are signed. Elena, you can pack your things after the holidays. The house, the company, everything stays with me. It's only fair. He thought he had won. He thought the silence meant defeat. I looked up at him slowly. Everyone was waiting for me to break, to cry, to beg, to run out of the room. But I didn't. I smiled. A small, calm smile. Thank you for the gift, Marcus, I said softly. My voice was steady. The entire room turned to me. Every screen in the house lit up, the massive living room TV, the kitchen monitor, even the kids' tablets. The org chart of the company appeared. My name at the top as 87% owner. His name in tiny letters, contracted manager terminated upon breach. The room erupted in gasps. My father stood up slowly. You stole from my daughter's trust. Marcus tried to speak, but I handed him the third box. Inside, the DNA test results. Sophia isn't just your mistress, Marcus. She's your half-sister. Same father. You've known for years. Sophia screamed, that's a lie. But the official lab report was right there, stamped and sealed. She bolted for the door, but Victor, my investigator, was already waiting outside with police officers. Fourth and final box. Marcus opened it like a man walking to his execution. A single USB drive and a letter from the board. I plugged it into the TV. A video played, Marcus bragging on a recorded call to his business partner. Once Elena signs the divorce, everything becomes mine. The old trust clauses don't matter anymore. Then my live financial app appeared on screen. I tapped once. But Christmas is about giving and receiving. Now it's my turn to give you yours. I stood up and walked to the tree. Four beautifully wrapped gold boxes sat in a row, each with a red bow and a tag that read, to Marcus, with love, Elena. I picked up the first one and handed it to him. Open this one first. Marcus laughed nervously. Elena, what is this? Some kind of joke. But he took the box. Everyone leaned forward. He tore off the paper. Inside was a thick folder. He opened it. His face went pale. Printed photos, dozens of them. Marcus ripped open the first box like it was nothing. Inside, hundreds of printed photos of him and Sophia kissing in hotels, holding hands in restaurants, even one of them laughing in our bed while I was away with the kids. His face turned ash white. The smile vanished. This is private, he stammered. I didn't let him finish. Second gift, I said calmly, handing him the next box. He opened it with shaking hands. Bank statements. Transfer records. Every dollar he stole, $350,000 exactly, highlighted in red, plus the hidden clause from the trust, now activated. As he read, I pressed a button on my phone. Every single one of Marcus's credit cards, bank accounts, and company access frozen. Debt notifications started pouring in. $720,000 in personal liability now attached to his name alone. The police stepped inside. Marcus Harrington, you're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and breach of fiduciary duty. He dropped to his knees, begging, tears streaming. Elena, please. I'm sorry, we can fix this. I looked down at him. You wanted a new beginning? Merry Christmas. You just got it, without me, without the money, without anything. Sophia was taken away too, screaming that it was all Marcus's fault. The family surrounded me, hugging me, crying, apologizing for not seeing the signs sooner. My mother held me tight and whispered, I'm so proud of you, my strong girl. 6 months later, I'm sitting in the CEO office that used to be his. The company is thriving, profits are higher than ever. I started a foundation for women who've been betrayed, helping them rebuild their lives. The mansion is ours again, mine and the kids. Alex and Mia are happier than they've been in years. Marcus. He lost everything. The house, the cars, his reputation. He's facing years in prison. Sophia disappeared, no one has heard from her since. Ladies, if you're watching this and you're going through the same pain, remember what I learned, a woman's silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. When they think they've broken you, that's when you rise and take back everything, plus interest. Karma doesn't need help, but sometimes she loves a little assistance. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been betrayed, drop a red heart in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from, I read every single one. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another revenge story. This Christmas, may your heart be light, and your revenge be sweet. Merry Christmas, Queens. You've got this.